What's happening, people? Thank you for clicking on this video. In this video, we have an interview with Hanga Katreiner, who is an analog astronaut, especially the first Hungarian analog astronaut. We talk about analog missions, her life as an entrepreneur, her work in startup life and lessons, and the future of space tourism and how we can evolve the space sector. So, before we start, I have to tell you something. This interview was the third time that we tried to make an interview because the microphones went down, the camera went down because it was too hot, the audio quality was awful. So it was the third time we did it, and it's the first Zoom interview I ever did. So please keep that in mind. It's far from perfect, but I think it has valuable insights. So have fun watching the video. Thank you very much.
Let's start. Hanga, welcome back to the show. A second time, since the first time ended badly, but now we're here virtually. And I think it would be good if we can start over, just to have one video. And I hope you're doing good. I know you have a lot on your plate. So thank you for taking the time. And yeah, ready to dive in?
Sure.
Okay. You had an analog mission. You're
Right.
basically also the first Hungarian analog astronaut, which is like a huge thing. So my question is, what is something that people completely misunderstand about analog missions, and how did you prepare for it?
Okay, that's a good question. On this regard, actually, I would start with the fact what's an analog like astronaut or an analog mission on its own, because most of the times, or at least this is my experience, that most of the times people don't even know what does that mean on its own. So they, I think, understand the word analog and mission or astronaut, but they cannot really like put them together. So
Yeah, that's exactly the reaction every time I get when I talk about it.
yeah, because it's not a common thing, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, from my point of view, the name is actually quite telling. You basically prepare for a mission or do a full-on mission, like the same way as you would do it on the ISS, for example. Just obviously on the ground in a habitat, in a dedicated environment for this. Usually these missions are like 6 or 7 days long because that's the usual period for a human being to like get used to things and not to complain much about, for example, about each other, about the circumstances and stuff. So just to avoid like full-on conflicts.
Yeah.
What was the question? How would I describe a mission or?
What people get wrong about analog missions?
Okay, yeah. That I think the ones who know what does this mean, maybe a misunderstanding can be that it's easy or that's for fun, but it's really not. So you basically prepare for something, you submit your CV, your motivational letter, just like as you do for a regular job, but obviously it just lasts for a certain amount of time.
Sure.
And you prepare your research, or they give you a research if you don't like have one specifically, but you still want to do the mission.
Yeah.
And every single mission has a crew where the crew members are always changing. So, and they are always coming from a different field. Because you need a medical officer, you need a communication officer, you need a data officer to basically monitor the data, what you do during the day. So it's not easy. And you have to do your research, and they are also doing their own research on you. So you have to monitor yourself every second hour a day. You don't know the time. When to wake up, you still need to report what you did throughout the day. And obviously you have to cooperate with your crewmates you don't even know beforehand. So it's not that easy.
And how did you prepare for it?
Honestly, I think I was quite naive with this because I just checked what kind of missions are there near me that I could join, and I just submitted an application. Obviously, I'm a software person, so I wanted to do something with software, with drones, with AI, but you cannot really go out of the habitat itself. So
Yeah.
I did not get a drone. So I couldn't do my research at all, and I was panicking like 2 days prior the mission, what I would do there because I had no plans. But the MCC, the mission coordinators, were really nice people, and they just guided us through it because I had two other crewmates because our mission lasted a bit longer for 2 weeks. So they halved the crew members, and we just received like the mission goal to prepare for a competition to design a space station or a space mission, but we designed a space station for space mining. And I was so nervous during the first day. The second day, I remember I reported burnout
Oh, wow. And
in the
second day?
morning. Yeah, because of this, because we started to do so much work on the first day that I think we were up until, I don't know, 2 a.m. I didn't know the time and I still don't know it, but probably it was around 2 a.m. So we did much work. And after the first day, the second day's morning, I just felt completely empty that I cannot do this anymore. And I don't know these people. I don't know what to do in here, what to report, because I was the communication officer, so I had to report the progress at the end of the day. And then during the first report in the morning, I had to prepare a full-on plan, what to do during the day. And I had no plans. I didn't know what to do, so that was quite difficult. Um, I did not do any like physical preparations for this because I knew that we won't be able to like go out and explore things because I know there are certain missions where you are basically spending your time inside of a cave, so you have to definitely prepare physically for that. But in my case, that was not on the plate. But I started to prepare myself mentally, but honestly, it felt quite good after this second, third day. That was the critical point, I think, because from then on, I felt so comfortable and so good. I really wanted to spend more time there.
Sounds good. And since it's 2 weeks, I kind of wonder
Mhm.
that they have the crew to 3 members because one would expect, okay, it's more time, there's more work, you need more crew members.
Mhm.
So, do you know what the goal behind that was?
Yeah, or at least I assume. So usually you have 6 people for 1 week, and 6 people is already a lot, especially if you don't know them, because you don't know how would the other behave,
Mhm.
and you really have to resolve some conflicts anyway, because the first thing is that you have to decide who's gonna be the commander of the mission, who's gonna be the medical officer and stuff. And if you have, for example, two like students who are studying medicine, they both want to be medical officers. And for example, our case, this was like, I didn't want to be a data officer because that was not like my niche anyway. And the other guys had no prior experience in the field at all. But one of the guys wanted to become a commander, but in our case, there was no need for a commander because it was such a small team. So the commander was basically the communication officer. And I knew about myself that I would be the best in this role, not between them, but if I have to choose a role for myself, I would be able to give my best if I would be the communication officer. So we had to resolve this issue. And imagine this with more people for 2 weeks. So I assume this was the whole reason behind this, that they really wanted to reduce the amount of conflicts. And we did not have any after that, to be honest. So I
Also,
think,
the amount of stress, I would think. I think that's also something. And to really get into this, I'm just trying to get you here more in the center. I don't know if it's working. Maybe I can cut it out.
I'll take your time.
Okay. Better. So that was my holy shit moment right now. So I want to ask you, what was your holy shit moment on that mission? Or do you even got one?
Yes, definitely I got one. I think I knew myself better from then on. And yeah, my turning point there was actually that I know I'm not stupid, because before that I started this job where I'm working at right now as well, besides the startups and projects and stuff. And during my first year, I felt like I'm the stupidest person on this planet, because I didn't know shit, and I did not receive any, like, I received some support, but none of us really knew what to do exactly, because the project was also new, where I started to work. And I just felt like I'm not a good, like, person in a technical aspect. And when we started to design this mission, I realized, well, this is actually what I want to do, like, professionally. If I have to, like, choose something from the space field, I really want to design space missions. And then I started to look for universities to get back to studying and start my master's as well, because I left school after my graduation because of this job. And I found basically, I think, the best school I could choose for this opportunity. And I really enjoyed this, but this would not have happened without this mission, I believe. So I got back to myself during those days or weeks. And actually, there was a report on the stress levels, and we had to fill it out prior the mission, and my stress level was the highest. Basically, it was on 100%. And after we left the habitat, it was on 0%. So those 2 weeks was really something for me.
So the most stressful environment for other people is your Zen meditation Buddha moment.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
surprising. We also talked about analog missions, maybe someone together, because I talked also to you. I want to do something on my own. What advice would you give someone like me who isn't born in the space field to prepare for such an analog mission?
First of all, just enjoy, accept any, like, discrepancies and non-perfection, because it won't be perfect. I think it's really important to choose the right place. So if you feel comfortable with the people who you're reporting to and who you are basically in contact with, then it won't be a problem at all, I think, no matter the crew. Because if you have this sympathy with them, then it's likely that they will choose the right people for you as well. So yeah, just enjoy. You don't have to prepare certain research if you don't want to. If you want to do anything specifically, that's very welcome there, because they have like, so many equipments that you won't be able to purchase on your own, probably. So that's a cool stuff, and just embrace it. So it's really like a journey. So
What about physical requirements?
mhm. It depends on the mission. So, for example, if you want to go to Spain for this kind of habitat that's inside of a cave, then they are providing you a training on like how to actually grab, I don't know, rocks and stuff. But if you want to do more like theoretical missions or like research focused missions, then you can choose from those where the physical requirements are not really like specified. So it depends on you, I think, but
So,
nothing like special needed.
okay, maybe some resilience.
Yes,
I
yeah,
think that would be
definitely.
good. And you showed me the mission in Spain also.
Hmm.
And other than the mission in Poland, it's also like you have EVA activities. So that's very interesting. And
Hmm.
okay, so maybe I can dial down my gym workout. It doesn't have to be like this completely brutal. I make a
No,
slave out of myself in the gym
no.
workout. Okay, perfect.
No, but they require you to work out every single day
Hmm.
while you're on this mission. So we had a small like gym,
Yeah,
but you could choose what do you want to do there. So and when.
very interesting. So analog missions are like the spear point of accessibility regarding space.
Mhm.
And we see much more the rise of commercial astronauts also. And we also know these traditional astronauts. And we also think of them like superhumans,
Mhm.
like people who can do anything. I don't know if you know him, like Johnny Kim, who's like
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
superhuman
Oh,
ex Navy
yeah.
SEAL, was too boring, became a doctor, was too boring, goes to fucking space now. I don't know what,
Insane. That's
yeah, it's really
insane.
insane. So, regarding the commercial astronauts,
Mhm.
do you think that it would be good for commercial astronauts to have like this high entry point as classic government astronauts, like many of them having military background, they were pilots and everything? Or is it possible to open space more for commercial astronauts with lower requirements,
Um,
besides from safety?
yeah. I think that's a double-sided coin, but on this regard, like I would not stick to military experience at all. Um, and I think they don't do it anymore either. But yeah, most of the times you are required to have like at least a master's degree in a STEM field, or they are expanding it to STEAM with arts as well. But the regular path is that you basically do your own like studies, but the lowest level of requirement is the master's degree and like a definitive amount of work after
Mm.
your degree. Um, I would not specifically stick to this. On one hand, it's really good to have because you have a highly skilled professional in a certain field, and that's what you need basically because there's no such a profession on its own, like being an astronaut. It's so like widespread. You have to focus on a certain niche and then get to the astronaut world or how yeah. But on the other hand, I think this closes some doors for other people as well,
Yeah.
who might be not just passionate, but actually skilled, but they did not have, for example, the opportunities back then to pursue their academic path. Because, for example, in the US, that's really tied to certain budgets, for example, but maybe in other countries um, or in European countries that this is a bit of a like the situation is a bit better, I would say, with the educational path, but it's still not accessible for so many people, and they are just getting behind. So this is why I would lower a bit the requirements and tie them not to specifically for like an academic degree or these high achievements that you need a Nobel Prize or something like that, just to have like a solid skill set as well and how your brain works. So I would definitely explore as, for example, an interviewer for these occasions, how the other person thinks, because that's, I think, the most important thing. You cannot really learn this, how to act in critical situations. You just have to act like this. And maybe someone who has a PhD won't be able to find a solution or just completely blocks, while the other person can just go with whatever he has in mind, and that's going to be fine. So
you're basically advocating for like a diverse approach regarding
yes, definitely.
interdisciplinary, that you have a good mix of people on it.
Yeah.
And I think in the long term, we also will have a specialization in space. So people like just like the airlines, people who are very good at ground personnel, people who are very good at flying, people who are very good at the service side of flying. And I think that's something that will also be in space.
Mhm.
And since you're also working on your master's degree in space software engineering, when I'm right?
This is just space engineering, but
Space
I'm working as a
engineering, okay.
space software engineer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of your dreams, or that dream, is also become an astronaut.
Yes, definitely.
And on the same time, we have this huge opening in space. We have the announcement of the vast space station, the first commercial space station, Axiom space station. We have much more commercial missions, like Inspiration 4 was the first one. And when we follow this trend, and you also want to become an astronaut, I too. So
Yes.
let's talk about the hope of it. Where would you like to see the space sector in 10 years?
That's a good question. Everywhere, basically. I would love to see it everywhere because it has a tiny network right now. Even though people who are involved into the space sector, you also see this, I assume, that you have this group of people who are really like highly achieving. They want to make humanity better, to provide everyone a better place. We do so many research, also on the ISS, just to make people's lives on Earth better. And that's why I want to see it basically everywhere, because even the camera in your cell phone is there because of space exploration.
Yeah.
So this microphone with Bluetooth or the wireless headphones are also the product of space exploration.
And many people don't know that.
Yeah, exactly. So I really want the space sector to be more widespread, because right now you can get into it. It's not that like hard, but it's not that easy. Not that easy not because it's so difficult on its own, like you have to be a professor or something, but because you have to find it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I would really love to see that more people are open to this sector, more people want to like actually have some professions within the industry. And I want the industry to be spread more into everyday life as well. So, for example, like a hairdresser can live his or her life without knowing anything about space exploration. But there might be some products that they would be interested in either to purchase or like develop
Yeah.
on their own, which can benefit both sectors. So I really want to see this cooperation more like closely in the future, because I think this would benefit everyone.
It's a much broader approach. And one thing I learned since I'm in the space sector, not nearly a year, which is crazy, but that communication is key. And many companies don't know how to do that because they dominated the field since the space race, basically. But we see the rise of communication much more, like with networks, with events, with gala events, also with like courses we did with Xenia together, where we met the first time. And I was completely blown away when I read that you were an analog astronaut. On one part, because that was the first time I heard about an analog astronaut. And on the second part, that you rocked it also as an unofficial mission commander. And regarding the analog mission, it's also discussed sometimes of being part not only research, but also space tourism. And when I think on my project, my company is focused on space tourism with Analog Astronaut mission 0G flights. How can you see that opening up the sector through experiences like that can change the preparation for real astronaut missions?
Hmm.
Do you think it will be more outsourced?
Probably, yes, because the whole point, or I did not really search or browse the internet for this answer. So it's
It comes from
probably
the
not
heart.
100 what I'm gonna be saying right now, or this information what I'm gonna be sharing right now. But this is my assumption, and I think it's highly likely that it's the case. That the whole point of the start of the analog missions, I think, was actually the actual like astronaut missions, because they had to prepare somehow for these missions, and they are still doing this till this day. So, for example, they want to send the second Hungarian astronaut into space, into the ISS soon, and they also got a preparation like as an analog astronaut mission. They basically had to do the same for also 2 weeks or a bit more. I'm not specifically sure about this, but they still have to do these analog missions prior to the actual one. So I think if you do the analog mission on your own already, gives you, first of all, the idea if this really suits you, because sometimes people just realize during the mission this is not really for them. They always wanted to be an astronaut, wanted to go to space, and then when they are on these analog missions, then they cannot really cooperate. They are always passive aggressive, and or they just start to become like a depressive person, because of like you don't receive sunlight there, you don't know anything about the world around you, you don't know the time or anything else. And yeah, this can be depressing or depressive. So on one hand, I think this could help for those people who just dreaming about space and being an astronaut to actually experience something nearly the same as being an astronaut on the ISS. Obviously, you cannot mimic the microgravity like here down on Earth, but everything else you can do. So on one hand, I think this is a really good opportunity for everyone to experience this. And on the second hand, what I wanted to say. Yeah, and on the other hand, maybe in the future, not right now, but maybe in the future, you can shorten the mission preparation, because these missions to prepare for still requires, I think, more than 2 years, even right
Wow.
now with
Okay.
these technology and stuff, because you have to do the physical tests, medical tests, psychological tests, and so on and so forth. And then after you did these, you're being sent into this like analog habitat where you have to actually use these skills. And then they also see how do you perform. So, but if you already know this can maybe give you like some kind of an idea how would you perform on these tests as well,
Yeah.
and for them as well.
I think not only it should be, but it has to be, because when we think about, for example, SpaceX aiming to
Mhm.
have the most reusable rocket of all time, and they want to send more and more people up there rapidly,
Mhm.
then the selection process can take 2 years. Because on that
Definitely.
point, the rockets fly faster than humans, get selected for the mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's also one point why I think space tourism can come in handy. Like you said, it's a selection process on itself, because people say, okay, is this really suitable for me? Is it really something that I'm too naive about?
Mhm.
Or is it something that I'm not only can work with, but also thrive in it?
Mhm.
And I saw that all time also in the military, people coming in with the wrong expectations
Mhm.
and being disappointed and stressed about that it's not like in their imagination, especially not in the beginning when you're in the learning phase. And I can imagine that's the same. And also, it's not the isolation point per se, like an analog mission,
Mhm.
but we also had the training for deployments and everything where you're basically imaginary in a different country. You're still in Germany, you're training,
Mhm.
but imaginary, your whole mission concept is okay, now you're in a different country
Mhm.
and you're basically 2 weeks pretending to be there, or 3 weeks, and there's no communication to outside whatsoever, or should be. And you're away from the
Mhm.
family. You are basically, there are no like 9 to 5s. You're basically working 24/7. And that stresses a lot of people out. And I think it's the same with that. And the more people who can experience that, the bigger the space sector becomes. And that's who, and the more the candidates peel themselves out of the
Mhm.
crowd and say, okay, I have been through it. I love it. Here I am. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think space tourism can be like a recruiter for real space missions.
Oh, I like this idea. Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I think this is really important, just to spread the word or the idea that it exists. It's not like far in the future or far from you as a person, but you can still do it. You can still experience this. If nothing else, it's gonna be an experience for lifetime, and that's it. And in the best case, you can go to space. So yeah, I think there are some like human aspects that you have to like, oh, what I wanted to say. So there are some human aspects that you have to leave just to be unfold throughout the time. And I think this on this space tourism can actually help a lot. So that's so important. Just people to know about this.
Yeah. And I think also like broaden the human experience. And it gets a lot of time confused with something altruistic, that you're just, oh, space is so beautiful, let's experience it. That's some part of it, but that's not the whole purpose of it.
Mhm.
When you think about like the first settlers of America, that's basically what SpaceX does. And space tourism is like, okay, we take you on a boat, you can experience the ocean, and then you can see if you really want to go.
Mhm. Oh, I like
So I
it.
imagine that like that. And besides being the first Hungarian analog astronaut, you also work in a startup. You're working at your master's degree. You have a full-time job, and also you're planning your own startup.
Yes.
So
And we
besides
we
you,
we organized the gala as well.
and we organize the gala as well. So besides you, I feel like a lazy prick.
Oh no,
And
please don't.
regarding startups, so now you have like two sides, which is pretty unique. You're working in a startup and you want to set up your own startup.
Mhm.
And the startup you're working on is also located in the space sector. And that sounds really fascinating. But I want to know from you, since it's like everyone imagines, okay, you're in a space startup. Are you working on rockets? Are you a rocket scientist, like many people say? Um, what's the not so fancy side of working in a startup?
Hmm. Late hours, one of the not so fancy side of it, definitely, because I think people, what you see from the outside is that you are always working, no matter what you do or no matter what the time is. You're always working and you are always in this like really progressive mindset that you have to use every single minute in your day, not, I wouldn't say for work, but to make progress. And I think that's definitely falls onto the dark side because I cannot basically switch off my mind. So I barely sleep because of this. I had and have insomnia anyway, so this does not help on the situation either. But without sleep, your brain is not functioning properly. You don't have these creative thoughts that you really need if you want to establish a startup because you have to start from scratch or most of the times from scratch. And that requires a lot of creativity because you don't have funding for your product, but you still have to do something to show them for show it for investors. So you're always in this rabbit hole and you try to crawl out your way, but you're always falling into it. And at least this is my feeling, like I'm constantly in this rabbit hole and trying to get to the surface just to breathe, and then I'm falling back again. When I want to sleep or want to relax a bit because I'm falling behind my own schedule. So I think this is one of the worst things that you can do, and I'm still learning this, not how to manage my time, because I think I can manage my time wisely, because otherwise I could not do these projects in parallel. But I really have to like manage my sleeping cycle, my relaxed time, to have dedicated time for that, to really like put on your calendar, and then probably you will do it because that's also something that you have to do. So I think that's really hard to do in practice. These sound like nice words, but in practice this is way harder than I thought in the beginning. And on the other hand, okay, I'm doing my own stuff, which is a lab project. But on the other hand, I'm involved in this startup with 6 other people. And there are some cultural differences as well, because there are people in this team who are from the other side of the world, from Asia, and they're also working from there. So we also have to like manage the meetings somehow, that they don't sleep yet and we don't sleep anymore. But these, yeah, the cultural differences can give like a really good base for a common like misunderstanding. And we try to avoid this, but sometimes it's really hard. We managed this so far, and that's fine. But you will have some these discrepancies and stuff that you need to resolve. And if you are not, I wouldn't say good in communications, but if you're not expressing yourself and your thoughts, you will be like overpowered in some way. So you really have to communicate your ideas, your goals, your vision, because that also needs to go into the startup and into the whole roadmap. And if someone is not like sharing the same vision, it's really hard to get into a common ground. And this is not visible from the outside, I think. So that's hard. Yeah, but it is what it is.
Talk to me
How do
about
you manage your startup?
yeah. Basically, the late hours, yeah.
Mhm.
Also, since we're recording this at 7:30 p.m. on a Monday, and the rabbit hole is you can always work harder, and that's
Yeah.
also the dead end of it. Because if you start to think like that and don't understand that every day is a brick on the road, you're gonna work yourself to death. And the value on the other side that you bring to yourself and that you bring to your community and your future vision has to be in balance with the things you sacrifice on the way. And many people in like this bro science red pill community, hustler, make a million by 25, or you are a loser. People don't understand that they are trading something for something they already have. So they are trading their time and their freedom to be happy in order to get happiness, which is complete utter nonsense, but that's just how it is. So, yeah. And I'm trying to broaden my mind with it. I'm listening to podcasts, reading books, everything. I know that's not the work, but it's something that broadens my mind and helps me really think about it much more. Okay, which route do I want to take? Am I here for the short ride, the become a millionaire in 1 year, or a loser ride? Or on the, okay, I'm putting everything into this vision and mission just to bring it to life. And from that point on, we go one step at a time. And I'm trying to do that. And yeah, because if you holding yourself to such high standards from completely random people on the internet, it's a slippery slope. And they don't see you like working your ass off. And I, for myself, since I was in the military so long, I have always this feeling of, okay, I have to work certain hours to be productive, or I have to chip off the most of things of my list to feel productive. And now I want to shift my mindset from a time-driven work schedule to a goal-driven work schedule.
That's
I said,
really
okay, I
hard.
have these goals for this day, for this week, for this month. And when I'm done at the day, I do something for myself, for my personal growth. And that's it. It's hard because you always have this voice inside your head that says, hey, you still have X hours before you go to bed. You can do that, and that.
No.
Sometimes I'm listening to it and take my laptop on the couch and make some low work, also important work, like writing emails, do something creative. But there are days when I say, no, fuck you. I worked my ass off today and I'm eating my favorite ice cream. And I know that's not something that will destroy my goals. Instead, it's helping me. So, yeah. Talk to
I
me
have to
about
learn this.
talk to me about your entrepreneurial journey so far. Since you are starting your own startup or now as a side project. And I think that's the main goal long term. What
Yeah.
is the most important lesson you learned so far?
Mm. Mm. Care about the mission, your mission, and not other people's thoughts. I put so much effort into the fact how I show up, like how I act, what do I say to other people, what would they think of me, of my cause, of my vision. Um, you should not let them influence these things because they are your own. And if you have a mission and if you want to realize it, then you definitely should not listen to those people who either lack of mission or lack of knowledge about you. So yeah, as with other stuffs, I'm still learning this, but I think I could already have my people with me on this journey who really matter. And yeah, just have a supporting like set of friends with you. And if you don't have supportive friends, at least they should not like be an obstacle on the way. So just care about the mission and it's
What
gonna
is
be fine.
what is your mission?
Okay. Um, there are two sides of my mission,
So it's a
but
mission
somehow
coin,
they
basically.
are planning together, I think. Um, the most important one, which involves the other, is that I want to create a legacy that
Interesting.
I can basically give to people, to the next generation. I don't care if they won't know my name. That's not the whole point. I just want to create something for them to make the future brighter, to make the future better for them. Um, yeah, in one word, legacy. And the other side, which can be also attached to this one, is that obviously I'm a woman on a male like dominated field. And even though I don't really feel today these differences in my workplace, I know this is not the case for everyone, and most of the times it's not the case. So I really want to set uh, like or show young women, or not just young women, but women in general, um, to give them some kind of inspiration that they can achieve whatever they want, no matter what people say, just because they are women. Women are actually more like highly, I don't know how to say it. So women are actually uh, outperforming men many different like technical fields as well. This is statistics. This is not like any kind of hyperfeminism that I'm communicating in here. But I think this is a really important information for these ladies, girls, whatever, that they can achieve whatever they want. And I really want to show them this is actually possible from nowhere or from anywhere.
I think there's also like a study in the US that compares um, how many people are beginning a study, what are the study fields, and so on and so on. And I think we have like a, especially in the US, when I'm counting it really and I'm quoting it like it's written down because I don't have it with me, is like that more females are graduating from college than ever before. And that's a good thing. But the bad thing about it is that's not depending on females, but never have there been less males uh, from colleges. So I think there should be an even distribution. That would be good.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. And for that one, what is something from the woman/girl side that they can do proactive to help the cause of your mission, to basically help each other in the field without excluding anyone else, just to broaden the field? Is there something they can do proactive, or is there something, or is it only circumstances? But I don't think so.
On one hand, I would say don't stop being a feminist. That's really important. And feminism does not mean that you really want to gain much more power than, for example, a man, or that you want to work in an atmosphere where no men are allowed or something like that. It just basically means that you have equal rights, equal opportunities. And I think this really matters, because if women stop talking about their rights and their opportunities, their vision, then who's gonna talk about that? Who's gonna like pursue anything if not them? So I think it's really important just to like communicate, show the people that you're doing this, just to be an inspiration for someone. And if you can inspire just one little girl anywhere in the world, that's already a win. So I would say just spread your ideas, your vision, your thoughts, and yeah, don't stop being a feminist, and don't try to like overpower other women, because it's not a competition, it's cooperation. But not just with women, with everyone. This should be the case with everyone. So I don't want to exclude men from this equation, but I think this is really important.
We can see like this trend going on with people evening the playing field and trying to really communicate that, being outscreamed by people who want to overpower the other one, and making a competition out of everything. Especially what I see, that some, I don't know, in the so there's this playing field like manosphere where men talk to other men, and I'm sure there's like this parallel world where women just talk to other women.
Yes.
And I think when we come back to space, I think that could be like the great equalizer, because there it doesn't matter if you are male or female. It just matters that firstly, everyone survives the trip.
Yeah.
Secondly, to distribute to the greater cause, like for science, for culture, for humanity as a whole. And third of all, to really have something that drives you, and that drives you beyond borders and beyond sexes. So I think space could work like an equalizer, but only if you do it right.
I agree. Yes, I completely agree with your thoughts. It's really important to involve everyone without any kind of exclusion. And just like mentioning this is my problem as well with the programs, that they are not in place anymore in the US. This is going to be a problem. Not today, but it's going to be a problem. But okay, this is another topic. But this is all about inclusion. And it's really important because you have this like natural bias no matter what the other person's like gender is or sex is, it does not matter. You have this natural bias that you are bringing with you every single time into a conference, into a meeting, into a recruitment process. And these kind of programs are initially, at least, were designed to just get rid of these biases and provide opportunity for those people, for women as well, because it also affects me. That's why I'm talking about this. So to provide equal opportunities for these people, in not that regard that you will hire someone who is not fully capable of doing a job, but just give like the opportunity that you want to listen to them and not to exclude them from anything, basically. And but this can turn out to be like something like completely something else, which we also see right now, because society is divided into two like branches who are completely against these programs and those who are completely with these programs. But somehow we should, with everything, I think, we should find the middle ground or the middle path that we follow, not to like just put ideas from here, put ideas from there, and then we just create something that is completely unhinged from the individual like goal. But these are just important things. You have to keep the balance also in the industry, and not balance not regarding genders, but in ideologies, programs and stuff, everything. And I think space or the space sector can give this opportunity or option for other fields and studies as well, because you basically need every single person's mind to achieve something. So you just cannot exclude someone who you don't like, because the mission can fail.
Like you said, it should always be under the, when we talk about space, the disguise of, okay, are the capabilities there? Because other than that, it's just like playing with humanity's future and playing with safety. And that's, I think, an important part that gets not all the time, but often overlooked. To have like, okay, do we want to have like a talk about quotas, or do we want to have talk about quotas and qualities?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always one of these things that gets broken away. But regarding the space sector, I think broaden the field and, broaden the point of view to have like more people on the playing field, not only wasting the time to make it equal to everyone, but bring as many people in as possible. And from that, working with their strengths and their capabilities to with them broaden the field. So that would be very great. Okay, for last question, I know you're into satellites. So imagining you can design a satellite and determine its goal and its mission. Where is it going and what will it do?
Okay, I really like this question. Well, sustainability was really close to my heart, as you already know, with our gala, which is about space and sustainability and fashion. But I would definitely go for a mission that is targeting space debris and the problem of or the problem with space debris, because right now it's not a huge threat as we see, but probably in 10 years this will not be the case anymore. So probably I would send up a small like CubeSat there, like this small, to Leo, and basically, this is actually my future like goal as a mission to design this in real life, to send a small CubeSat to Leo to basically identify and detect and track these really small chunks of space debris, because you have huge debris like rockets, I don't know, pieces and stuff, but you still have tiny pieces from collisions, for example, in the past when anti-satellite missions happen. And you also have space debris like paint or something like that. And the most the most dangerous pieces are between like 1 and 10 centimeter in diameter. And why is it important to address these? Because they are too tiny to be tracked. So we don't really know where they are going at the moment. They are speeding, like they are, their velocity is really high, and they can impact a full-on mission. Like they can completely destroy any kind of satellite, because you can't really like build something so robust in space that can withstand these small pieces. And I really want to just have a clean space, like literally clean space. So I would aim for a space debris mission. And to make it more efficient and more effective, I would use the AI that I'm researching right now, which requires less power, less energy, and can basically, so it can provide you with more real-time data, which is crucial for detecting and tracking these debris. So, and if they can be tracked, then they can also be addressed properly. So I would aim for such a mission.
So maybe like a laser pointer for a future space vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, it can be like that. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Perfect. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
People want to catch up with your startup that you're planning, where should they go, or how do they find it?
You can head to Aki's space. You can head to akis.space, and then you will find out what we are doing with the startup. And regarding my personal project, I would still keep it in private until I don't launch it. But then I think you will hear about that.
Okay, perfect.
And check out the gala as well, please.
Check out the gala. I will link the gala down in the video description or the comments, whichever works best, since I'm still trying to find this new YouTube thing all out. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for the interview. I really enjoyed it.
It was a pleasure. We'll see each other soon. Thanks, everyone. Subscribe to the channel. Watch this video 100 times in the background. It helps the algorithm. And see you next time. Take care.